What's up, everybody? Raiders gonna rate after a. You're always disappointed with the result, right? It's a 0-1 or a 1-0, whatever you want to say. We lost by one goal to the two. I mean, let's face it, they're going to be the eventual champs, right? It wasn't. I'll say this: after conceding 77 seconds into the match, thought we kind of warmed up to it. We came into our own a little bit more, grew into it. That's the word I was looking for. We grew into it, settled in. But anyway, quick thoughts before I play the intro, and then we'll get into the numbers.
Yeah, no, I mean, ultimately, I feel like neither team got out of first gear, which is more of a, indictment on us rather than indictment on them. We weren't in the game. We didn't perform. We didn't show up. And I'm a little bit less okay with this result than a lot of other people are. But that's something that we can have a bigger conversation about in the post-match. But let's just do the ratings.
Yeah, let's get into numbers. Here we go. All right, we're off and running. So Bernd Leno, I always go first. I'm letting you go first today. Bernd Leno.
I'm gonna give what? I didn't write them down this time. But he had a couple of pretty good saves. He didn't really do anything egregiously wrong. He definitely was not at fault for the goal. He didn't have a clean sheet, so I can't give him too good. And it wasn't like he was batting away shots left and right because they really didn't create that many chances after they got ahead. So I'm gonna give him a 7.
That's where I'm at with it. I'm at a 7. Okay. The goal. I know it's not his fault, but I want to see more aggression out of my goalkeeper in these instances. I know it's a fine line because if you miss time your jump, if you miss the ball, it's in the back of your net. But I just feel like when you're that close to it, don't rely on someone else. When it's that final line and you can get to it, go get it. Go do it yourself. Don't wait for someone else to do it for you. Go do it yourself. That said, I'm not faulting him for the goal. I think he only made 2 other saves because he only had 3 shots on goal. One of them went in. So he did have he had one good save, I think, in the second half, diving to his left, and he got a hand on it. I'm not sure it goes in, even if he misses it. It looked like it was going to go wide, but he did get a hand on it. So 7, and he handled the ball at his feet rather well today too. I'm not saying his distribution was great.
Well, considering the fact that he had shaky Mari back there, passing the ball to him really sketchily back there. I think Bernd Leno, it was, it's like sketchy, but it was sketchily. But
the adverb version of sketch. Okay, all right. I like it. Listen, we hand out numbers and we create words here. We're not just a math show. Anyway, sorry, sketchily. Finish your thought. Or are you done?
Yeah, that's basically it. I mean, we'll get on to Mari, but I mean, with that, with those bad passes back and all that sketchy passing back and build up from the back, I thought he was fine.
He was, he held the fort as well as he needed to. Bottom line, Hector Bellerin.
Go ahead.
Boy, oh boy.
That clip going around of him standing there with virtually no pressure and just kicks the ball out by sums up his afternoon.
He gets a 3. And the only reason I'm even giving him 3, quite frankly, is because he has a heartbeat and he's a warm body. Fuck, he was bad. I typically don't like to curse on this show. Fuck, he was bad.
Okay.
I said in the post game that I did earlier that I think Raheem Sterling might get a knock on his door tonight from London police for criminal battery because he absolutely abused Hector Bellerin. I mean, like bent down with the ball at his foot, like knelt down, tied his shoestrings together while Hector Bellerin watched him do it, and then kicked the ball around him, and Hector Bellerin spun and fell down. Like, that's how bad it was. In the first half, when he, I don't know who it was, whether it was him or Zinchenko, had the ball, Pepe, it fell beautifully to Pepe, and he did everything right. Pepe did everything right. And so did Hector Bellerin. He did everything right until he didn't. Until he stopped and went like this. Are you afraid of committing a penalty in the other team's box? Now, that being said, the way that Premier League officiating has gone this season, who knows? Maybe committing a foul in Manchester City's box would have given them a penalty. I don't know. That's how inconsistent refereeing is.
The other direction.
But he stopped and put his hands up as if to say, I didn't touch him. I didn't touch him. And he stopped. And the ball was right there. Ball was right there. He could have first timed it. Not saying he'd have scored, but it could have been a shot. It could have been a shot on goal. Make the goalkeeper make a play. Make him make a play. And he throws his hands up. Oh, man. Sometimes I really like watching Hector Bellerin, but his end product is just awful. And today he was bad. Bad. Like I can still smell like the burnt hair and rubber coming from his game. Like that's how bad it was. Sorry.
You know,
Three.
You know how I feel about Hector Bellerin. I just think that what we get from him going forward is not enough for us to just allow him to be so negligent going back. I don't know what Arteta does like in the beginning of the games if he overdoes the watch out for Sterling, watch out for Mahrez, watch out for Kevin De Bruyne, watch out. So when they get onto the field, they're almost like frozen. But that's what it looks like when we play tricky, players that are good on the dribble. It just seems like certain players are so afraid to commit, so afraid to do this, do that, just to play the game that they just take themselves out of it. And that's what it looked like for me. Bellerin was so afraid to make a mistake that he made a mistake almost every single time that he touched the ball. He was an absolute liability today. I'm going to give him a 2.
Wow.
Yeah, sorry.
Like you went lower than me. I thought I was
bad.
I was going low.
I mean, he did nothing right in that game. And he was also a liability going backward. We need a defender that's not afraid to defend. I mean,
right.
And that's what he looked like he was. He was afraid to defend Raheem Sterling. So he just let him go.
I've said it before.
He even backs up into his box, which I hate. He starts to defend the player once they get into the box. What is the point of that? Because you can't touch him once he gets into the box.
Right. Yeah.
So I can't.
Outside the box, for crying out loud. He needs, I've said this before. It's Tony Adams with Lee Dixon. I need Tony Adams to come into this team, put his arm around Hector Bellerin and say, you're going to learn how to do your job over here before you go start trying to do things up here. That's it. Mm-hmm. So, Rob Holding, you're up.
Wow. Well, here's the thing. Football is a team sport. So I understand that he might have been at fault for not getting close enough to Raheem Sterling in the box when he headed it in. But I also think Tierney should have got closer to the crosser. Yes. That being said, after the mistake, I thought Rob Holding had a good game. But that's the thing with Rob Holding. He can make a really big mistake and then play the rest of the game good. But the mistake that he made cost us the game. Yep. So for me, I like Holding. I still am committed to the fact that I think that he can play in this team. He can be beneficial to this team, whether he starts or whether he's a squad player. Besides the mistake, I thought he was good. He tried to move the ball forward. He was aggressive with De Bruyne. He was aggressive in his tackling. He made a lot of, game-saving interventions throughout that game. But that one brain fart at the beginning of the game, which I think has something to do with the way that Arteta talks to the team in the locker room before they play big games. Yep. That's just me. So I'm going to give Rob Holding, I'm going to give him a 6. I'm going to give him a 6. I thought he was good besides that one thing, and it wasn't just him.
Sometimes I think one of us needs to dip out of these shows and one of us needs to be replaced. We agree far too much on this. I'm exactly with you. If it's not for the goal, he's probably getting a 7 or an 8 from me because he was very, very good after that.
Right.
He was really good after that. But, and point taken on Kieran Tierney. And I'm sure as you're watching, you hear the same thing that I hear. And I didn't realize it at first, but then when they went back and they showed it, and Lee Dixon says, Kieran Tierney has no chance of stopping this cross because he's too square now to Riyad Mahrez. There you go. So is it all on Rob Holding? No. I'll go back to Bernd Leno. Come out and be a little bit more aggressive on that ball.
But it's just
punch
like
it
the
away,
Aston Villa game. It's just like the Aston Villa game, right? We wanted to blame all of it on Cedric, but
Right.
also Rob Holding wasn't
Yep.
close enough to Ollie Watkins.
Yep.
This is a team sport.
It is.
You
I was
know,
just going to say it's a team
yeah,
game. You
but
win
he was
together,
good after
you lose
that.
together. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's a 6 for me. It's a 6 for me. Pablo Mari. Whew,
Go in
boy.
on him, please. Go in on him, please.
All right. Here's why I'm not going to go in on him. It's his first game in a month and a half.
Since January 9th.
Okay. So month and a half. It's his first game back. It's a 4 for me. He was not average. He was not average. He was below average. The reason it's not worse than that for me is I think there's a fair amount of rust there. And I'm going to blame Arteta for that because he's been healthy and there's something to this. Keep hearing, if he'd have played in January, we owed Flamenco £1 million. It's like, if that's the case, man, fire everybody. If that's the case, fire, like seriously, like just fold the club. I mean it. Just fold the club. Get the Cronkies out, tear down the Emirates, build some fucking shelters for dogs, and be done with it. Because that's just stupid. Stupid. I'm not gonna go too harsh on Pablo Mari. Gets a 4. He was bad today, but I'm not going as harsh as I think maybe you're going to, and I'm attributing that to rust. So he's gonna get a bit of the benefit of the doubt on that one.
Yeah, I mean, rust aside, the one thing that we were told when Pablo Mari came in, and I saw it in the clips and I saw it in the games when he played against Liverpool for Flamenco. He's a good ball playing center back. And today, almost every single pass that he tried to do going forward did not make it to the man.
Nope.
And I'm going to go back to the game right after lockdown when we played against Man City and he got injured really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people thought he was playing well. I thought he looked shaky in that game as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's something mental with Pablo Mari and playing against a team that never gave him a chance that makes him super, super rusty and not able to connect passes, and just he doesn't look confident. Whereas he looked really confident against West Brom, confident against Chelsea. What is the difference? I expect more from Pablo Mari because I've seen better from Pablo Mari. Well, I know that he has been out, but I will say
that was the first game back in the restart as well, was Manchester City. So he hadn't played really at all, I think, for us at that point. So,
I mean, that's the thing though, it's like, okay, well, he's not going to play a lot. I would hope that from now until the end of the season, Arteta will nail down a center back pairing. We don't need to be chopping and changing anymore. The back line needs to stay the same. So for me, it's like squad players, even if you're out, let's say he doesn't play for a while. I don't expect you to have horrific games where you can't, what's the point of rotating if you can't rotate people in to do a decent job?
Can't trust the players are going to rotate in. Exactly.
So let's chalk this up to rustiness. I'm going to give him a 4, just like you did. But if I ever see that again and he's not coming off of an injury, then we're looking at a squad player that we cannot trust. And that's a problem for me.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to get playing time as a rotational center back. Our center back pairing should be the same almost every single game.
And they shouldn't really be rotated. They really shouldn't need to be subbed out in the middle of a game. I mean, unless obviously barring injury. So let's move on here. Kieran Tierney, that's to you.
Yeah, so he was rusty against Benfica, and he was also rusty today. That's obvious. I think Arteta's trying to get minutes in his legs so he can get going until the end of the season.
Yeah. That
being said, I think we got another one of those performances from Kieran Tierney where he gave 110%, but he made a big error. Yeah. I've seen this before from him, but I know I'm not going to see it very often. So I'm not that upset about it. He needed to get closer to Riyad Mahrez. Yeah. He needs to, and what is it with our team not being switched on from minute 1? I keep going back to that because that is a growing theme with Arteta. People are saying that it's been from Arsene, it's been from Emery. No, this is really an Arteta thing. Getting scored on in the first 2 minutes is happening way too often. Yeah. And it's just silly errors, Yep. So what is he saying before the game? I don't know. Kieran Tierney made the mistake. I thought him and Saka were the only 2 players that showed any type of quality in that game. That's it. He was making good runs, and his rustiness just showed every once in a while. I'm going to give Kieran Tierney a 6, just like Holding. I thought he was very similar to Holding. Big mistake in the beginning, made up for it, was quality from that moment on.
That's 6. Nothing to add.
We should call it guess your ratings and like we just guess each other's.
Right. That's gonna be that would be more fun. And the funny thing is we would guess based on what we think. And well, I mean, I would guess yours based on what I'm thinking, and I'm like, I actually thought you were gonna go a little higher. So I am actually surprised that you gave him. I'm not gonna say anything else because everything you just said is everything I would say. He was rusty. Yeah. He could have done a lot better against Mahrez. Getting up closer to him, taking away time and space, As a defender, that's what you do. Take away time and space. I tell my 9-year-old nephew this all the time. He's been playing at left back with his youth team for 2 years now. And I tell him all the time, I'm like, take away their time. When you're defending, take away time and space. But yeah, the rust is still there, clearly, on the crosses, even some of his touches. So, yeah, six for me. You chalk it up to the rustiness and you move on. So, Mo Nenny, it's going to be an interesting one. It's my turn, but I feel like you're chomping at the bit here. You want to go?
No, go ahead. I want to hear what you have to say first.
Didn't like the selection. That being said, pleasantly surprised. I want to caveat this with I got exactly what I expected out of Mohamed Elneny today. I'm giving him a 7 because I got exactly what I expected out of him today. I expected energy. You saw him running at Ederson, for crying out loud at times. You know, when Ederson had the ball at his feet. You know you're not going to get much forward passing. You know you're not going to get a lot of risks from him. He's not going to try to bomb the ball forward. That's not his game. His game is make a pass to someone else to let them make the forward pass. That's his game. I don't expect anything else. So I got exactly what I expected. I thought he was solid. He didn't do anything to really influence the game in either direction because I got what I expected. He gets a better number than a 5. I give him a 7 mostly because of his heart and his energy. And I will say this. I fully expect him to move on in the summer. That's another show for another time. I will be a little disappointed to see him move on because he's just one of those guys that when he comes on the pitch, you're going to get 100%. You know you're going to get 100% of whatever it is he has to give you. If he had to play on a broken leg, he'd figure it out how to play on a broken leg and you'd get 100%. He gets a 7 for me.
Well, we've done it. We have disagreed.
Oh!
I thought Elneny was one of the worst players on the pitch today.
Tell me why.
I know that he had like 100% pass accuracy in the first half, but I also felt like his passes are nothing passes. I think that there were opportunities for him to obviously pass the ball to Martin Odegaard, and he chose to go in a different direction. I think his positional awareness or his lack of positional awareness sometimes is overshadowed by the fact that he's running around so hard with his hair bopping up and down that we're like, oh, he's running so hard. Well, he's running so hard because he's out of position. I thought he got bypassed in the beginning of the game, and it took them maybe 20 minutes to recalibrate where they're supposed to be on the pitch. And that a lot of that was due to the fact that he was just out of position. I didn't like the selection. I didn't think there was any reason not to play Dani Ceballos in that game. I thought Dani Ceballos did absolutely nothing to not, he played well against Manchester City the last couple times that we played against them. I don't understand this. I just don't get it, but with Elneny, I know that I don't have high expectations for him, but I think he was problematic in certain instances where I even saw him do the here, you take it balls. He did that a couple times to Odegaard where he's standing 5 yards away from him. Give the man a decent pass or turn away and do something else. Don't just, I don't want it. They're pressing me. It's just, I thought he was a liability more due to the fact that he's just not the type of player that should have played in that game, and less to do with him just not playing well. That being said, there were certain things that he was doing that was annoying to me. And most of it was positional awareness that's overshadowed by the fact that he runs hard and presses and does all that, and just nothing passes and hospital balls. I'm giving him a 4. I thought he was awful today.
Wow.
Sorry.
Like we severely disagree.
I was looking at him. I wanted him out
Wow.
at halftime. I was like,
we'll dive into this with Arteta. So, Granit Xhaka, to you.
Granit Xhaka was one of the best players on the pitch. I think he's proving day in and day out that it's not just a fluke and not just because Thomas Partey was playing with him. He was showing shades of Xhaka that can be bypassed. But again, that was because of Elneny's lack of positional awareness. It's different than when Thomas Partey plays and he's more aware of his surroundings and he knows when he needs to be behind Xhaka and when he can release from Xhaka to go forward. The issue is that Xhaka needs to play with another player with the same footballing IQ. Xhaka actually has a very high football IQ, but people don't take that into consideration because they hate him so much. He has a clear picture of what's going on in the game. He knows when to speed it down, or what is it? Slow it down,
speed it up.
And he was neat and tidy on the ball. He found Tierney when he was supposed to. He grew into the game, and I don't think he did much wrong in this game. I'm going to give him a 7. I thought he was one of the better players on there.
Yeah, I'm with you. He's definitely in my top 3 for man of the match. Everything you just said, yeah, he does have a very high footballing IQ. His problem is the biggest problem facing Granit Xhaka is his athleticism. He's just not very athletic, but he's incredibly smart. He's incredibly smart. I'm giving him, I'm with you. I give him a 7. The one thing that I'll kind of, he probably would have been my man of the match, honestly, if it weren't for the fact that in the first half, I just felt like every time he got the ball, he just turned his back to goal, like to their goal, not to ours. He'd get the ball and he'd turn immediately and face Bernd Leno. He'd basically just do a 360.
Yeah.
Like, what did you just do that for? Like, you got the ball, go that way. Don't.
But my question to you is, who is he going to pass to forward? Because Gundogan and Zinchenko were marking Odegaard, and then they were kicking Saka.
I'm not saying he was going to pass the ball to anybody forward, but he would get the ball in the first half, and it just seemed like he'd get it and he'd do a 360, like he wanted to pass it back to like start building the play out from Leno, but then was like, wait a minute, there's nobody within 25 yards of me. I'm going to turn around and do it myself. Oh, you should have done it yourself a second ago.
Okay, I get what you're saying.
That's really it. I'm not saying he should have passed to anybody, because you're exactly right. They did a great job marking Odegaard pretty much out of the game, which we'll get to in a minute. But overall, I again, another good game from Granit Xhaka. You can't, if you hate him, you hate him, and that's fine. You can hate him all you want, but be realistic about it. He played well today. So, and he's played well now for what, 2 months?
Yeah.
Month and a half? 2 months? Yeah. So 7 for me. Moving into the, I guess we'll say the attacking 4. I'm going to start on the right with Nicola Pepe. This could be.
Was he out there?
I mean, it literally could be an NA. Like, it could literally be that. He basically just, I've done more walking my dogs. Speaking of, I guess I just heard, yes, I can hear her barking. No, seriously. I've exerted more energy walking my dogs. Now, that being said, you don't have to mute yourself. It's fine. I have 3 beagles, and they like to sniff a lot, and, they kind of get involved when we're out for walks. But come on, man, like, you're a professional footballer. You should be out there hustling your ass off, and you did nothing. You did nothing. You get a 4 from me. And the only reason you're even getting that, and I'm not putting you in Hector Bellerin territory, is because of the play that you made to Hector Bellerin in the first half that he probably should have finished, or at the very least gotten a shot off on net, and it could have potentially given Pepe an assist. He gets a 4 for me for that. Otherwise, he was literally this wall right here. There's nothing on this wall. He was invisible. There's nothing there. This is Nicolas Pepe right here. Here, I'll show you. That's Nicolas Pepe right there. You see him? He's right there. He's right there.
Hi, Pepe.
You can't see him? Yeah, that's because he was invisible today. Sorry.
Well, I know Pepe's little celebration is this thing right here, but we're doing that to try to figure out where the hell you were, buddy. Yeah, you were a ghost, Casper FC. I mean, it was bad. I mean, but at the same time, let's take into consideration that he was playing on the same side with the other guy that was the worst person on the pitch to me was Hector Bellerin. Arteta, they don't play well together. Hector Bellerin and Pepe do not play well together. And I could have told you before the game even started that wasn't going to work, but I forget who said it. I wish I could find it. I forgot. But basically, they said that if you play Aubameyang, you can't play Pepe on the left-hand side because they both like to occupy the same space.
I saw
now,
it too. Yeah, I did see
that. Being said, if you knew that was going to neutralize Pepe so much that he was going to be an absolute non-factor, you shouldn't have played him or you shouldn't have played Aubameyang.
Yeah.
But if we're just talking about Pepe, I'm going to give him maybe a 3. I thought he was non-existent, partially because he chose not to be into the game because he was lazy, but also because of the choice of Mikel Arteta not to play him on the side where he's most effective. So
yeah,
that's it.
Martin Odegaard.
Am I starting on this one?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So this is what happens. It's the same thing that used to happen to Ozil, where they figure, okay, well, this is going to be your outlet and this is going to be your way to pass it into your striker. So we're just going to kick him and double team him. I think Gundogan and Zinchenko and Fernandinho were just kicking him and keeping him out of the game. I also thought that when he was open again, just like in the Benfica game and the Leeds game, that our team decided to bypass him completely. I don't know if this is a lack of trust or him not being assertive enough as a player to say, give me the effing ball, but something needs to change. There's no reason to have a player on loan that we're looking to see if we can have a future with if we're not going to pass him the freaking ball. I thought that when he got the ball, he tried to do some dangerous passes in between the lines that got cut off. But that being said, when you do dangerous passes, sometimes they don't come off. But I'd like to see him continue to try to make those types of passes because when they come off, they're going to be dangerous. I don't think he wasn't great, but a lot of it was just due to the way that the game was set up and the fact that our team doesn't necessarily pass to him that much. There was one chance that he had where he got into a good position in between the lines, between their center backs, or not their center backs, but they're in between their midfield and their defense, and he did a one-touch pass into Aubameyang, and it didn't come off. But that type of thought process, when it's nurtured, and that type of relationship as we move forward in the season might be beneficial to us. So I'm going to give him a 5 because he wasn't great, but I don't think that was so much up to Odegaard. And then also when he lost the ball, he tried to get it back, which is something that I didn't really see from Pepe. So that's the only reason why he's getting just a little bit above that. He's getting a 5, but not a great game, but we still need to persist with him.
I'm giving him a 6. And the reason I'm giving him a 6 is everything you just said, but I'm kind of chalking it up more to the guys around him than him. You need to make the passes that he was attempting to make. If they come off, great. They're not always going to, like you just said. You're not going to complete everything when you're in that tight a space, and they're starting to pack the defense in to their 18-yard box. So he gets a 6 for me. It wasn't great, but I'm chalking that up more to the guys around him than anything else. So he was very interested in getting the ball back. He was one of the furthest men back defensively. How many times? You saw him right at the edge of the 18-yard box trying to win the ball back. So for me, he gets a 6, and I would expect that will, like I say, that's down to the players around him, and that's going to be a one-off. I don't think you're going to see games like this from him.
He needs to play again against Benfica and again against Leicester.
100%. Yep. Keep playing him. Keep playing him. Because I don't know. He hasn't played much at all this year. So keep playing him. Yep. Bukayo Saka, star boy, little chilly. This one's, to me, he's my man of the match today. He's getting a 7. I just can't hand out an 8 to anybody. I really can't. I want to, but we lost, and we weren't exactly threatening. But Bukayo Saka is just, this is all I'm going to say about Bukayo Saka. We do this match in, match out with him. We don't have a bad word to say about him. We just don't. Might consider sitting him down against Benfica on Thursday. Might. Not 100% sold on that yet, but
will we win if he's not out there? Let's be real.
Hard to say. I mean, I guess the question becomes, do we have a better chance of winning with a 30% Bukayo Saka in terms of, stamina, or just putting somebody on that might
This is the biggest game of our season, Tanner.
Yeah.
We can't afford not to play him at this
Yeah,
point. He probably
yeah.
shouldn't have played today.
Yeah, that
If
might
you really
be. You
think
might
about
be
it, you
right.
could have played Martinelli today.
Yep. Now again, he gets a 7 from me. Dude's he's best player in this team.
Yeah.
Flat out, he's the best player in this team. He gets a 7 for me, and I'm just not handing out. And fuck it, I'm giving him an 8. I'm giving him the 8. Fuck it, he's my man of the match. I'm giving him the 8. And you know what? I'll say this: he's the one player in this team that when he's got the ball at his foot, in the opponent's half, I'm edging closer. I'm moving closer to the edge of my seat. I'm edging closer to the edge of my seat from the Department of Redundancy department. But yeah, he's that one player that I'm sitting back here and all of a sudden I find myself, inching closer to the TV to see what's he going to do. What's he going to do? So, kind of like Mike Hernandez said it pretty well. This is what Barcelona fans must have felt like watching prime Messi, or even now watching Messi play. When he gets the ball at his foot in the attacking half, what are you going to do? What's he going to do? And you just can't. You're glued to the TV. You can't not watch. So, my man of the match, he gets an 8 from me.
Yeah. So with Saka, I said it and I tweeted it several times, was that he was, besides Tierney, after his mistake, was the only player on our team that showed any sort of quality. Was the only player that didn't look like he was afraid of the occasion. He's probably the only player in our team that could get into that City team. He sat outside of, after the game, he stood out on the field and talked to Foden. And you better hope Foden wasn't trying to convince him to come to City, because he would look good in their team, because he'd be playing with players with similar quality of him. He's our best player. He's leaps and bounds. He's getting better every single game. And he's showing up senior players like Pepe and Willian and Aubameyang every single week. We are absolutely blessed to have a player like this in our team. And we need to go and thank Freddie Ljungberg for not only bringing this player into the first team, but making this player, because he's a part of the reason why Saka is who he is. Arteta is also a big part of it. But my thing with Arteta is that you need to figure out a time to rest this young man. When you break Saka, you're done.
Yeah.
That is going to be the day that the fan base turns on you, and that's it. You should have rested him today. There was no reason to play him today, because we were never going to win this game. And the game on Thursday is the biggest game of our season, because if you lose that, Arteta, you're done. Yeah. If we are out of the Europa League, you're finished. So for me, Saka gets an 8. I don't care if we didn't win, because watching him is the only joy that I get sometimes watching this team play.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. Aubameyang.
Do I get to go first? Oh, Pierre. Okay. So I don't want to be too harsh on him, but here's my thing with Aubameyang is that we know what he is and we know what he isn't. And I'm starting to get the idea that, Aubameyang is a good time player. When we're playing well, he plays well. When we're not playing great, he doesn't play good. And if he doesn't have 3 technical players to do all the running for him, and when he's playing center forward, he's basically useless. He was useless from the moment the game started. His first touch was terrible. He didn't look engaged in the game. He rarely pressed. He didn't look dangerous. And for me, if we're not going to set up the team correctly for him to operate as a center forward, then you need to play Lacazette. It's just, I don't really understand when you have Pepe, somebody else who he's not. Aubameyang looked good when we had Odegaard, Smith Rowe, and Saka in behind him. And I do think that if we played those 3 players in behind him today, he would have had more chances. But because you had Pepe, somebody who decided to go Casper on us today, he didn't have enough support in behind him, and he had too much, he had too much responsibility in build-up play, and we know Aubameyang's not good in those positions. They knew that if they just crowded him out, he was never going to be able to beat Stones and Diaz. They ate him for lunch. He got pocketed by John Stones, and it was embarrassing. So for me, I think it's, again, more of the way that Arteta set up the team for several players was not conducive for them to be, good in this game. But it's also just the fact that Aubameyang, the game is not going in a way is good for him. he just goes Casper. And that's something that we need to think about moving forward because we've allocated a lot of resources to him. And if we're not going to set up the team in a way for him to thrive, then we need to think about a way to get him out because this just doesn't make sense anymore. And I'm going to give him a 4. I thought he was awful.
Yep. I'm with you. He's getting, again, he wasn't as bad as Bellerin for me, but he was just as bad as Pepe. He was just non-existent out there. Attitude is all wrong for him. 4 because he's poor. That's it.
Hey, just a sidebar, why do you think that Aubameyang's league record against the top 6 team is so poor, but his league record against the bottom half teams is so good? It's because he's a good time player. And I know it's like, well, what about the rest of the team? It's the rest of the team. But certain players in your team have an alpha personality like Saka, where regardless to if we're playing prime Barcelona, if we're playing West Brom, they're going to show up and be a part of what we're doing. Aubameyang is a beta player. He has a beta type of, he's not an alpha player to me. He needs to be supported too much. So if we're not going to support him correctly, then we need to move on.
I sell him. I'll tell you right now. Sell him. Done. You got 13 games to turn this around, man. Maybe. Okay. 14. Yeah, 14 games. Yeah, 14 games to turn this around. Maybe you get more if we win Thursday. All right, you add 2 to that total. You get 14 games to turn this around, man. You know what? Sell him. If this is what he's going to be, sell him. What good is he? What good is he? Why not sell him? Seriously, why not sell him? This is it. Again, like, I get it. I was on board with the contract extension. I was excited about the contract extension. Buyer's remorse. Let the contract run down. It's not the worst thing in the world. There are far worse things in the world. Trust me. A bee sting is worse than that.
I'm crying.
Be
weak.
Done.
Sell him.
Done. If this is what we're going, it's not the lack of contribution. It's the attitude. We've cleared out. We talked for years about getting this bad attitude, this sour taste of all of these players that just want to play for the paycheck. Why is he different? Why does he get the pass? He doesn't. You're going to be a passenger on this ship? Jump ship then, mate. Get out of here. I'll throw you a life raft and you can sail on to your next destination and ride off into the sunset. Done. If this is what we're going to get, if he doesn't change his attitude, sell him in the summer. Done. I don't care if you get $30 million for him. Sell him. It'll be $30 million more than we had. Done. Anyway, subs. Who came on first? It would have been was Smith Rowe for Odegaard, I believe. That was the first sub. None of these subs made a difference. Like they didn't really. None of them really did.
I'm tempted to give all of them just a straight up 5.
Well,
because,
yeah,
they didn't really. One, Arteta takes absolutely. Well, you know what? I'm just going to wait into the Arteta section, but they didn't have enough time to do anything, and the game state was not one of get on there and try to win the game. It was almost we were protecting a tie, but we didn't have a freaking goal. It was a very strange thing. We didn't really throw anything forward. He
was playing for the 1-0 loss.
That's pathetic.
I don't give a fuck if you lose 5-0. Go lose 5-0. Guess what? They don't get extra points for more goals that they score. Yes, I'm worried about goal differential, so I'm glad that we only lost 1-0. I don't want to lose 5-0. That's fucking embarrassing. But go try to score for protecting a 1-0 deficit. That's what that's honest to God. That's what. Now, that being said, the one sub that I'm actually not going to give a 5 to, because I probably, I'm just going to cover this now, because they'd all get a 5, with the exception of Lacazette. Lacazette had a few moments there where I thought he could have done something. It's not even really down to him not doing it as much as nobody else. He had nowhere else to go. They closed him down like that, and there was no help for him. I'd give Lacazette a 6. He's the only different. But everybody else, Smith Rowe, Danny Ceballos, and Danny Ceballos came on and played 9 minutes? Came on like in the 85th or 86th.
And David Luiz too.
And
he
David
came
Luiz
on for holding.
And that was a concussion sub. I didn't realize that if
you still get another one.
No. I did know that. I didn't realize that if you get that concussion sub,
then the other
team gets 4 subs. That I don't like.
I don't even know what that's about, but okay.
Don't like that at all. Now you're saying, well, they can just bring on a fresh player because your guy got hurt.
Well, that's basically saying that you don't trust that somebody is making a concussion sub for the good of just it being a concussion sub. That's what it seems like to me. It's like, well, if it's not really that's what it seems like to me.
That should be taken out of the manager's hands. Then that should be completely on a completely unbiased outside medical official, just like it's done in the NFL.
Yeah, because that's basically like it's not fair thing. Mm-hmm.
It's you go into concussion protocol, and at that point, if you are sent by what should be an unbiased outside presence, and you're put into concussion protocol in the Premier League, you're done for the game. That's it. There's no, no, you know what? He passed. He can come back and nope, because you have to make the sub. So leave it in the manager's hands at that point to say, I'm going to take him off. Or don't leave it in the manager's hands. You leave it in the physio's hands to say, no, he's done. He's done. That's it. But that's an hour-long conversation. The subs for me get a 5 with the exception of Lacazette. He gets a 6. You want to move? Go ahead. Anything different?
Nope. I'm waiting to get to Arteta.
Go. I'll have at it.
All right. So if you've ever heard anything that I've ever said, it's I don't doubt that Arteta does absolutely everything he can to get the team ready tactically. He does everything he needs to do on the training pitch to help this team get better. And we see some of that on the field. Like, we can't say that we haven't seen a lot of improvement defensively. We can't say that we haven't seen improvement in the way that we build up play and create goals in the last two months. But again, Arteta, the manager, is still not good enough for me. The in-game management today was that of somebody that was protecting a 1-1 tie, but we didn't have the goal. There was no sense of just go play. I have no idea what happens when the players enter the Emirates, because we have a horrible home record. What happens when they enter the Emirates and they're in that locker room? What is he saying before the game when they have to play against better opposition? Is he scaring them so much with, this player is so great, he's going to beat you this way and this way and this way, filling their mind up too much with what they need to think about instead of pumping them up and saying, we're going to win this? I've yet to see us outside of a cup competition play a team that's supposedly better than us and looking like we were ready to play. We start flat, we're shaky, we have loose passing. What is that? Arteta, the manager, needs to be better at getting his team ready to play the game, not tactically, but just mentally. This team should not be starting out this slow. We shouldn't be giving up goals in the first couple of minutes every other couple of games. The red card situation, that's also an Arteta thing. I cannot say that something that's happening so often is not something due to something that he's not doing. So for me, it's just, I have such big questions about Arteta, the manager, and today he proved that to me again. The team needs momentum going into the most important game of the season that's ultimately going to define if you're going to be a coach for Arsenal going forward or not. If you are not going to get through to the next round of the Europa League, and you last season and this season failed to get through the round of 32, you should be sacked. But you chose to go for a fine margin, 1-0 loss, thinking that was going to be a better, give them more momentum and a better psychological edge. Whereas I think it would be better for them to go out swinging, maybe lose 3-1 and feel like we gave it all we could. They look dejected. They looked dejected against Benfica a couple days ago. They look bad today. Do you really think they're going to turn it around in the biggest game of the season? I think they're going to look shaky. I think they're going to look leggy. I think they're going to look unconfident.
Scared.
They're going to look scared because they know everything is riding on this game. And up to this point, they have yet to break through a barrier where they need to play an important game and win it. So for me, it's just like Arteta needs to figure this out. I think he risked some players today as well. I don't think he needed to risk Saka or Tierney or Aubameyang, if we're looking to play him against Benfica. Do you think Saka is going to be fresh for that game? Do you think Tierney is going to be fresh for that game? What were you thinking? If you were just going to play for the loss anyway, tell the players that are going to go out there just to go and play as hard as you can, try to get some momentum from them playing as hard as they could. And I guarantee you, if we had actually tried to play the game, we probably would have been a little bit better. We may have lost 3-1, but I think that that's better mentally for the team and in their heart than what the hell we did today. So that's my rant. I'm giving Arteta a 3. I just thought he chose the wrong team. He risked players he didn't have to. The substitutions were terrible. I don't know how he's preparing the team. And I think he set us up for a situation
abject failure.
Yeah, I'm worried about Thursday now. That's my rant. I just had to get that out.
I wasn't going to give him a 3. And then the closer we got to doing this show, the closer I got to giving him the 3. And I'm giving him the 3 because I don't think Dani Ceballos needed to be rested. I get your point. I'll disagree with you on this. If you don't play Tierney and you don't play Saka today, it's a white flag that you're giving up in the league. You're just conceding the 3 points. So I like that he didn't do that. I like that he's not waving the white flag there yet because I don't think it needs to be waved yet. That being said, your point is very well taken that you could have rested Bukayo Saka today and given Gabriel Martinelli some game time, and you may have seen something because he's a ball of energy. Maybe it's not always used the right way. He's still very raw, but he's a ball of energy, and give him a chance, So he gets a 3 from me because I do think he got the lineup wrong. He definitely waiting to bring on Dani Ceballos is the one. Well, he waited too long. He just waited too long on all of them. He didn't make a sub until the 72nd minute. That's when Emile Smith-Rowe came on, was the 72nd minute. And he made 2 subs at that point. Make the sub at the 60-minute mark, the 65-minute mark. You wait till 70 minutes? Why? Why bother? Let him play it out now. Let him play it out because you practically have to give them 10 minutes to get warmed up and get into the flow of the game. So the Dani Ceballos sub at 85 minutes, I don't
What's
get
the point
that
of that?
What's the point? Yeah. What the hell's the point? No point.
And a dejected Lacazette out there, somebody that you ripped out of the starting lineup as soon as Aubameyang showed a little bit of form. What did you think he was going to do? We're chopping and changing too much. The reason why we played so well in those couple of games after the after Boxing Day was because we played the same lineup day in and day out. Guess what? Now that you're chopping and changing, you're surprised that things aren't working out. Why does Gabriel and David Luiz not play this game? Why? Why is Marie and Holding coming back in? Who's our center back pairing? Just pick something and frickin' stick with it so we can get some momentum going. That's all I'm saying.
I keep saying this about him. He has to learn to trust himself. I don't think he's long for this job now. I really thought for the longest time with him, I really thought that he would be here for a while. I really thought that the club was going to give him a long leash. I don't think they're giving him a long leash now. I think they're giving him a very short noose to hang us all. So that's where I think we're at with him. I will tell you right now, I agree that I'm nervous about Thursday. And if we lose Thursday,
done. That's the reality, isn't it? Because it's like, how do you get knocked out of the Europa League, our only chance of Champions League football and a big chunk of money twice in a row in the same round? Is Arteta learning lessons? Is he learning on the job? Or is he just going day in and day out doing the same crap all the time? That's what I'm saying.
While he preaches he wants to win the Champions League in 3 years. That's what he told Willian. You ain't even going to qualify for it at this point.
Maybe that's why Willian's mad, because he knows it was a sham.
Could be. Yep. Arteta gets a 3 from me, and we could do a whole show on him. Yeah. We really could do a whole show on him at this point. John Moss, the ref,
didn't really make a big difference. I mean,
you know what? I'll give him credit. He was consistent. There were some calls where I'm yelling at the TV. I'm like, what are you doing? But then the same thing happens, the other way, and he reacts the same way. And I'm like, okay.
You give him a standard 5. Really.
I'm giving him a 5. I don't think he really influenced anything. So congratulations, John Moss. You did your job well today. You didn't influence the game, and you didn't fuck us the way you did against Wolves. So
boop, boop.
Fuck you. You get a 5. Whew, that was heated. Man,
I know. I had to get that out. You would think a 1-0 loss where we're supposed to lose wouldn't be this emotional, but I found myself very angry after this game because we did not come out and perform.
Yeah,
and I'm tired of watching us freaking go through every single game against a bigger team like this.
Yeah, you're glass half empty at this point.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, yeah.
Pretty much.
All right. That's it. We're going to get out of here. We've now gone 50 minutes, close to an hour, when I like to try to keep the show about a half hour or so. But we had some things get off our minds today. So,
yes, we did.
Jess, thanks as always. Appreciate it. Anything you want to final thought for anything here?
Nope. Post-match show coming tomorrow. So you guys, you always know. I think it's going to be Tom and Owen from TGT and LL Cool James with the long hair, if you've ever seen him on Highbury Squad. So it's going to be a really good panel. And yeah, we're going to get into the nitty gritty. So join us there tomorrow.
Awesome. Appreciate it as always. Thank you very much. We are out of here.